welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, guys, actually, we're not reading books. We're actually talking about books today. And today we'll be talking about books that are, I would recommend. These are my personal favorites for the age group of 6 to 8. Some are actually books that can be in the category of young adults and young children. So you can say that both young children can read it, and also it can be read by people you'd say, older than them as well. So yeah, these books I think they're really great. And so yeah, let's get started. So the first book we're talking about is actually a series, and it's called The Diary of the Wimpy Kid. Diary of a Wimpy Kid. And it's a very interesting story about, so it's a new school year, and Greg Heffley finds himself thrust into middle school, where undersized weaklings share the hallways with kids who are taller, meaner, and are already shaving. The hazards of growing up before you are ready are uniquely revealed through the words and the drawings as Greg records them in his diaries. So you see that the main character is Greg Heffley, and he's going through his middle school years, and he's recording them all in his diary. And the book is actually very unique. It's written not as an actual novel, but it's written as a dear diary. And it has a lot of figures in it. It's very interesting. So it has series. So in the first book, which is the debut series, Greg is happy to have Rowley, his sidekick, along for the ride. But when Rowley's stars start to rise, Greg tries to use his best friend's newfound popularity to his own advantage, kicking off a chain of events that will test their friendship in a hilarious fashion. So if you guys want to find out what happens to Greg and his best friend Rowley, so you can go check it out. You can read it. It has 7 books, I think. Yeah. Okay, so the next book that we're reading or talking about is Harry Potter. This is my personal favorite. I love this book a lot. And it also has a show. It has a Netflix series, and you can watch the show as well. But I preferred the books over the shows. It's my personal preference. So yeah, on his 11th birthday, Harry receives a letter inviting him to study magic at the Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Harry discovers that not only is he a wizard, but he is a famous one. He meets 2 best friends, Ron Weasley and Hermione Granger, and makes his first enemy, which is Draco Malfoy. So Harry was initially, I'm not going to spoil too much, but Harry was initially not living the life that he figures out that he has on his 11th birthday, and he lives a completely muggle life. You're gonna figure that out when you read the book. And everything for him changes after his 11th birthday, because he receives a letter from Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry when he realizes that he's not a normal person. So if you want to know more, you have to read the book. And again, this book also has a series of 8 books, and it's a very, very good book. Some of them do go in a very slow pace, so if you don't like slow-paced books, it might be a bit of a drag sometimes. But I think it's a really good book, so you should definitely try it out. The third book that we're talking about today is The Witches by Roald Dahl. Roald Dahl is one of my favorite writers when I was a kid. It was one of my favorite writers, and I absolutely loved every book that he had written. So this is definitely not only just one. You can check out Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, The Twists. You can try a lot of different books by Roald Dahl, but the one I'm focusing on is my personal favorite, which is The Witches. This is also into a show. You can watch the show as well. The movie, sorry. You can also watch the movie. But The Witches tells the story of a brave young boy and his Norwegian grandmother as they battle against England's child-hunting, hating witch. It continues to feature its list into the dedicated to the scariest children's book for more than 30 years, okay? So we see that Roald Dahl, The Witches, is actually a book where the main character, we see him, that he and his grandmother are living somewhere in a place, and they find out that the witches who want to turn kids into mice have been following them around, and they want to turn the main character also into a mice. So you see how the kid plans through it all, and what happens to him you need to figure out by reading it. So yeah. Okay guys, the next book we're talking about is Artemis Fowl. In the first book, again, this book also has a series, and I'm sorry it has a lot of series in this. I've talked about a lot of series, but these are actually really good. So yeah, it also has a series, and it is about a 12-year-old genius, which is Artemis Fowl 2, and his bodyguard Butler, which is he kidnaps Holly Short and an elf and a captain of the lower elements police, holding her for a ransom of 1 ton of gold to exploit the magical fairy people and restore his family fortune. The themes of this book are quite interesting. Artemis Fowl has a number of underlying themes, but the most essential of these are the greed and the conflict between the good and the evil. So when you read the book, you'll understand why I'm saying this, but it's a really good book, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So yeah. The next book we're talking about is also, it has multiple series, or it has multiple books, but it is also into a show, so if you get kind of bored, you can switch to the show or the movie. It's called Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. And this is about Percy Jackson, who's a teenager, which is always trouble-prone, gets a lot of complications when he figures out that he's the son of a Greek god, Poseidon. His whole life changes when he figures that out, and he has to go to a training camp for the children of deities, and Percy learns to harness his divine powers and prepare for the adventures of a lifetime. But he also has a lot of responsibilities on his shoulder, because he must prevent a feud among the Olympians from erupting into a devastating war on Earth. Meanwhile, he also needs to rescue his mother from the clutches of Hades, the god of the underworld. So it is very chaotic, and Percy has a lot to do. He has a lot to learn. He has to grow up before his time. And yeah, his story is very intriguing. You need to read it to figure more out. But he was a normal teenager, but his life changes when everyone thinks that he's stolen the lightning bolt of Zeus. So it's very interesting. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was really fun talking to you about books. All the books that I've mentioned were all my personal favorites, and they were more specifically with the age of 6 to 8 youngsters, but I think older people can also, like older than 6 to 8, can also read it. These are all really good books, and I thoroughly enjoyed them. So yeah, I hope you find them fun as well. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, and yeah, bye-bye.